So welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode of Chats with Charlie and Ash.
Yes, how good. Changing it up today.
New space for those who can see us.
Yeah, yes. Oh. Yeah, I'm excited because we're going to put this on YouTube, yeah?
Yeah.
Thought we might show up a bit. Rather than just hearing us, you can now see us, like you.
Just catering to everyone's different requirements, right? You can see us, listen to us, and you'll be able to read us.
Yes.
Because we'll also be going live with our new website. And on that we'll have journal articles of these episodes that we create. So, yeah, just meeting all different types of content consuming processes and needs that people have. So
yeah, amazing. Ear holes, eyeballs, all of it. What more do you want? So good. And instead of like a structured conversation around something that we're going to talk into, we're just going to talk into what's alive and what's been going on. I just arrived and we started chatting a little bit about school, and we went to have a visit with at a new school for Harry, which was really interesting. But like what I took away from it, there was quite a few things I took away from it, which I love. One was like around how much of like a box we put ourselves into, and education is a beautiful reflection of that, because this is like obliterating that box. The other thing that I took away from it was that after having a chat with Harry and obviously getting him involved around where he sees himself and what works for him and all the rest, was realizing like it doesn't matter what school you go to. What's going to determine where Harry ends up in his life is where he is and how he believes in himself, and like where his mindset around opportunities and education and his self-worth and what he believes in himself. Because after having that chat, it was so interesting just hearing. I'm like, wow, actually I don't think we really need to focus. I don't think it actually matters necessarily for him so much where he goes. What I really want to work on with him is allowing him to believe that he can do whatever it is that he wants. Situations, circumstances don't matter. It's how you show up. Like that was massive, a massive realization for me.
that's huge, right? I mean, and what a completely different way of seeing it. And one, getting your child involved in a decision that affects them. Wow, not just dictating.
Yes.
And then this whole concept that actually if you nourish and support a child to be the best version of themselves, or to be allowed to explore what that is and what that means for them, then it doesn't matter the education system style that they're in, if they can hold themselves in any situation, because it's like trying to create an alternative world to live in too, right? Like the reality is that there's different parts of our world that certainly I don't agree with how some things work, and it's learning to be able to be in those sorts of environments and with those kinds of opinions and still stay grounded in your own. So I love that for you. That's quite a different approach, right?
Totally, yeah. And I just realized in that moment, like, holy shit, this is actually, because he can read, he can write, like he's a pretty bright kid. Like I wouldn't say he's exceptionally smart or whatever, but like he's 9, he would be fine if that was where his education stopped, because let's be fair, like the way the world is at the moment, technology, like how many jobs actually even require you to do maths? Like nobody. Like he's going to need a calculator. And I'm not discounting, I'm saying that I'm going to pull him out of school, but what I'm saying is like now what is going to matter most is whether he believes in himself or not, and whether he's a critical thinker, and can he question like these rules I was talking to him about on the way into town. Like we create all of these invisible rules for ourselves, like that we believe that we can't do something, and he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, some people think that they can't have maple syrup on their bacon. And he's like, what? I'm like, I know, like they won't allow themselves to eat it because they think that like that's an invisible rule that we can't we can't do that. Or we had a beautiful example of it recently in our breathwork experience, where somebody came out the other side and was like, oh my God, I got this amazing like message of like, I can dance, but I can't dance. Like, oh my God, no way, like I can't dance. And it's like, but that's not actually true, because you can dance, even if you're in a wheelchair. Like even if you
can't dance well,
Yeah.
Like maybe you can't dance exceptionally, but you can dance.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This is dancing. Pretty sure you can do that. Like, isn't it wild what we like limit ourselves? And that, for me, for my children and for myself, like I practice that every day, well I try. And for him and my children, I don't want them to think that I don't want to live by these own invisible rules that they make up for themselves. Like, holy crap, that's where I want to put my focus. Thank you.
Full stop.
Full stop.
Yeah. Yeah, and I tend to agree that for me the measure of success at the moment for me with my girls going to school is that they happily go, and when they return they're pretty happy too, because that tells me that it's a safe environment where they feel supported, they feel they're able to be themselves, they're socializing with other children, they've got some safe adults that clearly they interact with, and along the way that means they'll then learn, because if they feel safe and supported, then they'll naturally be taking in and learning. And so it's always, and again, is this a rule? It's always kind of felt like I'm a bit loose with that, because I don't get as nitty gritty as I experience some other people around me getting with their kids and what they're doing at school or not. And yeah, I think it's, again, because it's so different I went to a very structured English style boarding school back in Zimbabwe from when I was 5 till when I was 18. And I just couldn't imagine sending my kids away to go and live somewhere else like that. And so the fact that, they get to go to school 6 minutes away from where we live, and happily I get to interact with them going to and from school each day. Not that is easy, because there's definitely days where it's like we all just were lucky to be alive when we arrived and began our day. But it's letting go of some of the, I guess, the rules I had for myself, especially around success and being enough, was, being graded and where do you sit in class and how are you above average, or are you this, or are you that? And I think some of those measures, whilst they can offer up information, I don't think that they are the definition of whether a child's going to be, is going to flourish in life and do well. I think we can get caught up in some of these metrics that, how relevant are they?
Yeah, totally. And it's about, like what you mentioned before, like how adaptable are you to a different environment? I feel like that's crucial. Like, I've always kind of thought about knowing that, what would we do for high school for our kids? Like, will we send them to this high school here locally, or will we go somewhere else? And like, now I'm actually realizing it doesn't matter where you send them. It's showing him and showing my kids like how you show up no matter what environment you're in. And if you're in an environment that you actually really don't like and it's not serving you and it's pulling you down, to be able to hold true to yourself and be like, actually, this isn't for me. I'm gonna, or like, now I need to change my environment. Like,
and it's so funny because when I was made, the first high school I was made to go to, because I absolutely did my best. I'm pretty sure, I'm still convinced today that my dad paid for me to get into it, because I actually purposely tried to fail the entrance exams, because I had decided already that I didn't want to go there. Anyway, that's the boarding school I went to, because that's where my mum went to, and it was tradition and blah, blah, blah. I eventually got expelled from that high school after quite a bit of work at it. And they finally...
Overachiever.
They finally let me go. And I went to the high school that I wanted to go to, largely because my cousin was there and my best friend was there, and, and it was, I don't know, that's where I wanted to go. And by who knows how, I became head girl of that high school in my final year. And so what that demonstrates to me was when you are in an environment that suits you and that you do well in, you're going to excel. And whereas being forced to try and fit in and squish into a certain type of box or whatever is always going to have repercussions, right? It's going to come at a cost.
Yeah, totally. It's a challenging concept. That's what was so evident when we were at the school, because it's like, they do literacy and numeracy, and then the rest is just like very loosey-goosey. And so it was like one end of the spectrum to the other. And I loved it because I was sat there and I'm like, oh, this is really challenging me to like, how comfortable am I like with such a flip of idea? And I can imagine a lot of people probably struggle with that.
And it's like, that's basically like a little summary of changing how you're being and who you're being, right? Because it's being able to sit with and question, am I happy with how things are right now? And what are the alternatives? And then when you do have alternatives, sitting in what is uncomfortable about them, right? Because there's always going to be, it's unfamiliar. So there's still going to be, your brain is still going to be firing off like, oh, unsafe because it's unfamiliar. And so can you sit with the parts of it and be like, oh, but what is this testing? Or what is this helping me like question some of the deeper unconscious beliefs I have about what schooling and an education should be, or what parenting should be, or whatever these things are that we're navigating, right? And so I love that, you know, to me it's the open-mindedness and willingness to go and look at alternatives and then sit with, how does that feel? How does it feel for you? So that's how I would describe conscious living too, is that it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to just be flipped to this alternative just because it is an alternative. I'm going to sit with, how does that feel for me? How does it feel for your son? Like, wow, okay, well, and where do you land then when you go and open yourself up to going and exploring new things? Is there's no right or wrong. It's what's right. It's what feels good for you, right? It's that, yeah. And it's tricky, right? It's not. We want that very binary, like yes and no, kind of. That's what we think we want because it feels secure. But actually, there is no one size fits all, or it's not right or wrong. It just is.
It is, yeah.
And when you decide to go one way or the other way, it's then being, you know, holding true to that decision that you've made, and then seeing as it unfolds what's happening for you, right? Because I now no longer believe that there's right or wrong decisions. It's just decisions, and then you take action, and then you start to get feedback from the decision you've made, and you start to do something with that, right? So yeah, it's a whole new ball game when you are parenting and living differently to how you have lived up until this point, essentially.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing that was really cool, like just sitting with and realizing how we clearly want something different, right? So we're exploring different options. However, nothing changes if nothing changes. Like, and I was talking to Harry about this again because he was nervous about making new friends and like going into a new environment and like what if all of this sort of stuff. And it kind of feeds into rugby at the moment too, because he's struggling with tackling. He's really nervous about tackling people. He's scared he's going to hurt them, or he might get hurt or whatever. And I'm like, do you know what, Harry? The only way for you to overcome that fear is to just do it. I'm like, unfortunately, there's literally no other way. Like, you just have to do it. And that's the thing with like going and change and exploring new options. It's like you can sit and you can talk about it and you can think and you can look on the website and you can read the blogs and you can do all the things. But if you don't actually go and experience it and try it, like, you're never going to know that's the only way. And it feels uncomfortable and there's all the reasons why, oh, maybe we shouldn't. But like, until you actually go and experience it, nothing changes, right? Like, and then from us going and trying it, it's like not necessarily enrolling or whatever, but like going and having an experience of what it might be like. Then we can make a decision around where we're going. But getting out of out of your comfort zone, you actually just have to go and do the thing.
There is no change or expansion within your comfort zone.
No, exactly right.
Like, it's just the fact. And I think, which is what keeps a lot of people stuck, because it's like, oh no, that's, so I'm going to keep analyzing until I feel safe enough, until I've got enough information to know that I'm making the absolute right decision. And yeah, it's almost, I'd say it's impossible.
Yeah, and it's the illusion that it's the safer option, but it's not. It absolutely isn't. That's our survival. Like, in our nervous system is wired for safety, but that doesn't mean that it's the best thing for us, right? Like, it's...
Well, it's for safety, not for growth.
And I would even say, yeah, safety, is it even safe to stay comfortable? Like I would argue, no.
Well, not when your behaviors and habits and patterns are detrimental to you, then absolutely not.
Yeah, exactly right.
Not if you're feeling unsatisfied and that there's this urge for something else, to do something else, to be somewhere else, to live somewhere else, whatever it is, this change that's been, keeps quietly sneaking back into your mind. It's not going to go away.
Can you think of an example where you've been like, in your mind, you've been thinking like, I'm going to do this, like I'm going to create the change, I'm going to start on Monday or whatever, and then you've gone to actually do the thing, but then you found like a million other things that you could do, or like where you feel like that, like the nervous system comes into play. Well, your head says one thing, but your body says another. Like, have you got an example?
Oh my gracious!
Or could you please pick one out and give us an
pick example? One out of the freaking hat, right? Oh my goodness! Yeah, I mean, even just with coaching, with this with this desire to live and help other people and to show up a different way, it's like, yeah, okay, I know the things to do and I want to do, and then somehow there's just a little bit of doubt sneaks in and will stop me from, picking up the phone and making that phone call to somebody, or I don't know, making the Instagram post that even when I'm feeling like, oh, I've got something to say here, it's that doubt of, well, who am I? Who am I to do that? And I think there's those little sneaky bits of, oh, I just need to be a little bit more skilled, or that then keep me, okay, well, maybe I need to go and learn some more, or, yeah, and all of those things are just distractions, really, from just holding this is what I want to do. I want to be a coach, and I want to help other people, and just trusting that by being me, that's enough. Like, I think that's, yeah. So it's, gosh, and I mean, I could use 100 other examples of where it's like, yeah, the mind, like I decide that I want to do something.
And you're all in, right? Like in your head, you're like, I'm all in, doing it.
Yep. And then it's come to actually take the action. It's like, ooh, hang on, maybe I'll just take a little scenic route here and go and do something else instead, and I'll get back to this part over here. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I think if just like thinking about it was enough, we'd all be nailing it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Wouldn't it be great? It's even in the little things too. Like I'm just thinking about last night. I went to the lovely heels class again, so fun. And I'd driven all the way to town for Harry's appointments and everything yesterday. Drove all the way home, so 50-minute drive. I got home for a couple of hours and I was like, oh, I really wanted to go. But I was like, oh, it's a whole nother drive to town, and like, maybe I'm tired and like, all this shit. And then I'm like, no, I really want to go. And I realized in that moment, again, if nothing changes, nothing changes. I want to meet more people. I want to have more fun. I want to get out of my comfort zone because, believe it or not, but it's not like my second nature to be super confident in a dance class like that. Like that's not been me. So it gets me out of my comfort zone, and like I just want to go and have more fun and like experience more of life. And I realized like if I keep choosing staying at home, I don't get to have any of those things. Yeah. So I can listen to, and I can make it easy for myself. I can stay in my comfort zone, not drive all the way back to town, like thinking about, the petrol, like I'm tired, like I could just hang out with the kids, which I do every other night. Like all those things, keep myself comfortable, keep myself safe, or go, no thank you, I'm choosing something different, and go and do the thing. And I went and did the thing, and I bumped into some other amazing people, connected with the people that were there last time, had the most fun ever, got right out of my comfort zone, even got the person to film me, like I just had a great time, left absolutely buzzing. I'm like, that's what I was going to miss out on. That's what I was saying no to.
And it's frustrating. I must say, I find this very frustrating because no matter how many times I go for a run and feel fantastic afterwards, I will still have to fight myself to actually put the kit on and go for the run. And I used to really beat myself up about that, being like, I was like, clearly I'm dumb and super weak and just, there's something faulty with me, because no matter how many times it feels, I never ever have regretted it after I go and exercise, after I go for a run. And yet every single time I will have to go through a battle mentally to just do the thing.
Yep.
And so I think when I found out that was just absolutely bloody normal and I wasn't faulty, it was like, okay. And so when you take that pressure off and you can notice the stories that come up, what's happening as I start to begin to procrastinate, or what are the reasons why I'm trying to talk myself out of doing the fun thing that I know I'm going to enjoy, is just notice what's happening, right? Like begin by just noticing what are the stories. And I think it's the compassionate self-awareness, because it's like, okay, these are these things that are happening. Because I used to be so harsh on myself, beat myself up about it. It was like there was so much shame and guilt associated with it, that then it made it harder to look at where I was kind of going wrong, or what was taking me out of the game. Whereas when I can be kinder to myself about it and notice it, and sometimes still do it, sometimes talk myself out of it. Like,
we are not perfect.
Absolutely not.
And this is the difference between, because I'm the same, like any high achieving woman, I think or person would experience this this exact thing, where we want to do something but we avoid, or we set the goal, we're going to start Monday, and then it doesn't happen, or whatever. And you've just put it beautifully. Like, I think many of us have done the pushing, the being really hard on ourselves, the grinding, the whatever, using willpower, trying to find motivation, all the rest. And then the difference between that and like what we now do and what we embody in the work that we do is actually working through on another level that's not pushing. It's like coming back into the body and like working from it, not just from a like hustle and grind, but like what's actually going on for me here, like what's happening, and bringing it back down into the body. And like you just said, working with compassionate self-forgiveness and all of these, unpacking and dismantling some of these stories and allowing ourselves grace and space to actually be able to do the thing. And then if we don't do the thing, okay, great, well, how come? Like, we're unpacking that a bit more. So and that is why we've been able to, it's not this like fits and starts. I mean, there is a component of that, but we're continuously moving, creating momentum in the direction that we want to go. And it's not in a straight line.
Oh my gosh.
It's been like this, but we're still going forward, right? Rather than this like all in, and then now we're like further from where we started before, and then all in, and then back we go. And when you're doing that, it's like, even just as I'm saying it, I'm like, there's so much energy that gets wasted. And it's like the tortoise and the hare, right? Like the slow and steady wins the race. And it's not through hustling, grinding, pushing. It's being able to meet yourself where you're at and know where you are, and then be able to question why it is that I'm not moving forward, or like, how can I support myself to keep moving forward.
Well, it's like your decision with like school and education, and where do I want to go with this? It's knowing that deep down underneath the absolute intention is supporting my son to flourish as himself. And when you have that really clear foundational, that's what's important, then the pieces on top of that, the how and all of the day-to-day partners, that kind of comes in like and hits you in the face, and we go from one side to the other side. It's like, if you can stay grounded in, as long as this is supporting my son the way that I want to support my son, then okay, we just keep moving in that. And that's what you keep coming back to as your North Star, or the thing that's guiding, how does this feel? What are we going to do about it? That's, I think, what's so different too, especially when we're in such a world of so much information. There's so much advice, and this is what you should do, and this is how it should be done, and this is the way to be successful. There's so much of it out there that if you just get caught up in all of that, you can maintain it for a while, you can push yourself and use willpower to like make yourself do things. But I'd argue that the long-term, most sustainable, most fulfilling way of creating life and making decisions in your life is to be grounded in how does this feel for me? How do I want to do something? And I think this was so new to me because I had lived the absolute opposite for such a long time. And so it still takes so much practice. It's a daily practice of coming back to. And I think what I love now is that it's getting so much clearer on what those foundational pieces are for me, that when I'm struggling with something and I'm still a human being and I feel my emotions and I'm feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, it's like I've got something that I can anchor to, I can come back to and hold on to just for a little bit to kind of like, okay, hang on. What is in this for me? What's happening? And just begin to then ground myself and come back to okay, so how should I move forward? It's like, it's a very intentional way of being.
Yes, and I love what you just said there about like feeling your emotions, because I think so many of us, and I'll speak for myself, but like I always thought there was good emotions and bad emotions, and emotions that I was allowed to feel and emotions that I weren't allowed to feel. So like happy, joyful, excited, those were all good emotions and emotions that I allowed myself to feel. But sad, angry, frustrated, guilt, disappointment, whatever, those were bad emotions and I wasn't allowed to feel those. And that, I think, too, really kept me in that space, like, I don't love the word stuck, but like, in this space, because I never actually allowed myself to just fully feel, and I never allowed myself to want what I wanted either. And with that comes some of those emotions like sadness and grief and all of those things. But because I was like, that doesn't feel safe to me, I can't feel those, I don't want to feel those. I never, it just kept me in this like, well, why am I not doing the thing that I want to do, and all of that. But when you actually allow yourself to say that, get into that situation where I want to go do something, but I don't let myself, instead of letting myself just feel like disappointed or sad or whatever, it's like we'll just force and keep going, and we'll just ignore that and push past it. And it really, like, reflecting it just like in this whirlpool of like not going anywhere. And then beating myself up about it on my own. Cry myself
Exhausting.
to sleep. Yeah,
Exhausting.
Exactly. And I laugh, but like that was the reality of it. And I just couldn't work out like why I couldn't get out of that cycle. It's like that thinking, feeling cycle, round and round and round.
And I think that's what made, for me personally, parenting so incredibly challenging, was that I was used to controlling myself to then try and control and manipulate the environment to be what I needed. But that all bets were off when it came to children, and none of that worked. And none of that, so then I had to go absolutely rethink how to be okay. And I wasn't okay. And so then it was constantly coming out sideways, and it was like, I just didn't know it was so confusing for me. And I think one of the hardest truths too was that like the standards that I was holding myself to, I was also holding my children to, and people around me, my husband too, becomes impossible expectations of like, don't be sad because that's making me uncomfortable. So then I don't want you to, so the very same things that I had believed that, like you say, good or bad emotions, and I was then putting those very same things onto my kids, and that's where it was like, it's enough.
Yeah.
No longer.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're such, we're saying this before too, like we're such selfish creatures, aren't we? Like unintentionally, but like you just said there, like your child was being sad, and then you make it mean something about you. Like we forget to see the person in front of us, and we just make it mean something about us.
Oh my God,
it all about, like, I'm so uncomfortable when you're crying, please stop. Like, what about like, oh, shivers, what's making my child cry?
Oh no. Secondary, third,
Yeah, exactly. It's all about me. This even happened the other day with Scott and I having a conversation, and I said something, I was looking at something on my phone, and he instantly made it mean something about him, the fact that I was watching something, and I'm like, that's wild, isn't it? Like, this has nothing to do with you. This is what I'm just sharing something, but you immediately got upset and made it about you. And I like far out, that was me heavily. Like that causes a lot of a lot of fun too when it comes to parenting or marriage or relating with other people.
Another episode.
Yeah, I think that is. Oh dear. Anyway, that was a good wee yarn.
Yeah. Well,
What do we want to leave the people with from that?
love to bust the myth that there's good and bad decisions or right or wrong decisions. And actually what feels it's more about what feels right in terms of, you know, tuning into what do I want to do next, and what probably even before that is actually being able to define what is most important. So that intention that I've spoken to before, like for you around, say, wanting to nurture and support your son to be exactly who he is, right? If you're anchored in something like that, then from there decisions start to make sense when you anchor it back to. So when we know what those things are, because I'd argue that we do, maybe not consciously and maybe we're not paying attention to them, but we'll feel it. That's why we feel afraid when we're making decisions, is that underneath we know that there's something there, but we just don't spend or allow ourselves to actually bring that to the surface and actually be really clear on what it is that we want. So trusting yourself, spending the time to be like, what's most important for me here, whether it's in my parenting, my marriage, my work, whatever it is. Because again, when we can ground ourselves to something like that, then action becomes clean and clear. There's clarity and there's confidence, and it's a lot more fun.
Absolutely. Beautiful.